Drawing with Mr. Foote, and today we're going to put some basic shapes to good use, and we're going to make the human figure. We're going to do what's called figure eights. This is a combination of a lot of different drawing techniques. It's, there's a lot of similarities. There's more than one way to draw the human form. Obviously, there's drawing from real life, and then there's drawing from your imagination. Drawing from real life might be, like where somebody's actually posing, they're standing there, and you draw them. Even if that's the case, obviously it's still helpful to have some familiarity with human anatomy, muscular structure, the skeletal structure, the bones. It's just really helpful to kind of have a basic general idea of that. But even if you don't, I'm going to show you today how easy it is to draw the human body, okay? So I'm just going to get started. I'm going to do what I normally do. I'm going to relax my hand and kind of get into a little bit of a feel here. And I'm going to just start off by drawing an egg shape, okay? So there's my egg shape. I'm going to take that egg shape and I'm going to split it in half as best I can, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate that shape, the bottom half, and I'm going to do it again. Boom. So now we should have basically 3 equal forms. 1, 2, 3. Okay? I'm actually going to go ahead and do another equal space here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Before I'll just finish this up by putting in the shape of the human head. So, if you can tell, one of these spaces is equal to 1 human length, or 1 head length. Let's say 1 head length, okay? And that right there, all these things are 1 head length, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. If we stacked these heads, right, you get the idea. Okay, ideally, it's something like this. Okay, moving on. I like to have a center line. It just helps me, especially if I want to show that this person's either looking that way or maybe their head's turned and they're looking that way. I follow the contours and maybe they're looking up, right? Or I can say, no, I want them to look this way, but I want them to be looking down, okay? And so those center lines do help. Right here, I'm going to put in a collar. And it's just a circular collar. And I'm going to put in arm sockets right here. Okay. I can put in a rib cage here if I want. It goes down, it goes up right about to there, and back down like that. And then I'm going to put in like leg sockets right here and create some tighty-whities, right? What we're doing here is we're constructing what's called a mannequin, okay? And this is just the first half, 4 heads tall, right? Because this is what? A figure, do they call it a figure 6? No. Do they call it a figure 7? No. Do they call it a figure 9? No. They call it a figure 8, right? Figure 8. Well, if this is 4 heads tall to the crotch, then from the crotch to the ground, I like to measurement. See how I measured that? I take this distance, I hold my pencil right here, I have that measurement made, and then I align it right back there, and then I know that the ground is right there, okay? This is the idealized human body form, okay? And I say idealized because I don't necessarily think the average human being is exactly 8 heads tall. I think it's more like 7 7¼ or, you know, something like that. But just getting this roughed in here. I'm trying to create the same eight heads. And hence, the figure 8. It's based on the size of the head, okay? Now, this line, I know halfway between the crotch and the ground is where the knees go. Already I know that because that's standard human anatomy, okay? So I can put some, you know, stick figure bones, basically, that represent the bones. And I can just kind of roughly sketch in. And I'm just going to do like bones and like little circles for the joints. I'm going to make little, you know, maybe kind of semi-rounded off at the bottom triangles. They're just basically triangles for feet. Okay. Look at that. Now what I'm going to do is I actually really like to put in a collarbone because the collarbone like sticks out and then there's like this shoulder socket right here. And now if we were to do muscles, it would come somewhere around here and maybe tie back in there. But I'm just going to keep with right now, the basic structure here. And I'm going to put an arm here, or at least to the elbow. And this is equal to 1 head length. This from here to here. And then from down here, again, another head length to the end of the wrist. And then I'm going to make some hands. And I'm just going to make the hands a little circle. And then that same distance right there. Kind of like that. Let me show you right here. On my hand, this is essentially 1 circle. And if I take that distance, it's the same as that finger. Okay? So when you're drawing palms, and you're like, how big do I make the fingers? Well, if it's the same. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the figure 8. Okay, this is called a mannequin. It's the basic structure of the human body. There are obviously subtle changes and differences between different body types and whatnot, but this is generally the basic structure of the human body. And it's essentially a glorified stick figure, and we're measuring proportions. The proportions are where we get, you know, I can actually like start to pose this person, you know. I can bring the arms down and, you know, maybe they're pointing. Now, if I wanted to push this even farther, what I would do is I would start to create more of the form. And that form you can create using cylinders. All right? I don't necessarily want you guys to get into the cylinders if you don't want to yet. Maybe stick with the bones. But the cool thing about these cylinders is if you have a light source, it starts to get much easier to figure out where to shade. All right, because we're using contour lines, right? And this is how Marvel comic book heroes are born, is using this figure 8 technique, okay? A common thing that I see happening a lot, and you guys maybe see the same thing, is sometimes I see people, and there's their body, and then they put the neck on like that, and it just doesn't look right. Right? Have you ever seen that? It just does not look right. That is not where it goes. Okay? In fact, if I was to draw this from the side, okay, there's like a little slope to it, and it's more like this. And then we have that, okay? But there's a, right? So in other words, the neck is more like that. See that? It comes from the down from the shoulders at an angle. Not this, not up from the, okay? It's more like this. Okay? So you can practice. Again, we'll start with that basic shape. And then you can practice putting the, again, this shape is the same mass, essentially. I'm making it 3D, but it's the same mass as this, right? And if this was the rib cage, right? Let's see if their head's maybe tipped back. What I'm trying to show you here is you can experiment with posing, because you know approximately now, you know, like this, that should be the knee, you know, and that should be the ground. Just playing around with posing of the mannequin, okay? I'd like you guys to make 3 solid figure 8s, right? And I look forward to seeing what you come up with. You don't have to be, they don't have to be perfect. You do not have to put in the cylinders. The cylinders are the next step, you know? But for now, you can just focus on, really focus on this shape right here. This would be like the torso. Cut it in half. Put it in the pelvic bone, the pelvic region, those pelvic bones. You know, if you can get this down, even if it's just that, that is huge, you know. And then you can, you know, try posing, different poses. You know, you can play with it. You can do them quick. Create different movements and whatever. All right, you guys. I hope that's a good lesson for you. I look forward to seeing what you create. Have fun with it. I will show you one other thing. I suppose I can do this. Kind of a nifty technique. In fact, I'll show you on this one here. If I was to make this head a little bigger, it kind of changes it. I don't know if you noticed this, but it makes it a little more like a child. Right? It looks a little more like a child. Right? If I was to make this head small again, it makes a big difference. That's how superheroes, they usually have exaggerated small heads. And when they're drawing cartoon characters, to make it look more childlike, they exaggerate the big head. Okay? Something to consider, something to play with. It's not realistic. Realistic is about 7.5 or so-ish. But I call it the figure 8. 8 heads tall is a pretty accurate rendition of the human body. All right, you guys, it was fun to do this with you. I hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing what you create. Please let me know if you have any questions. Leave the suggestion or tips in the comments if you'd like. I'd love to learn how to do these better. So appreciate you. Bye.